My name is Ileah. Welcome to this 50-minute Hips and Hammies. We are going to be moving very slow and intentionally today. So if there's something more than what I'm offering that you would like to take, you should absolutely do that. If you want even less than what I'm offering, that is a-okay too. Whatever your body's calling for today is exactly what you should be doing. With that, let's settle into the space here a little bit. We'll just take a few moments. Maybe you start out in a child's pose, or maybe you start out in Shavasana. Maybe you invite the blocks under your feet or hands. Maybe you start in a reclined butterfly, really anything that might feel good today. We're just going to be hanging out here for a few minutes, just settling into the space. Taking a few moments to connect to your breath, feeling the rise of the lungs and the belly as you inhale, and feeling the release as you exhale. Feeling the points of the earth connected to the body, and feeling that earth support you. Invitation to take a body scan here, starting at the crown of the head and working all the way down to the tips of your toes. Maybe you identify some of those sticky spots or points of tension and send a breath or two there. Hopefully they won't be quite as sticky by the end of class. Maybe you deepen your breath here, really filling up the lungs and the belly on the inhale. And maybe you hold at the top and release all the air from the belly and the lungs on the exhale. Our focus today is going to be on surrendering. Sometimes that means different things to different people or at different points of the day or of life. Just letting go what you don't have control over. Maybe a specific instance comes to mind, maybe not. Taking 3 more full rounds of breath in whatever shape you're in. And on the inhale, maybe gently bringing some awareness back into your body. Maybe gentle wiggles of the fingers and the toes. Rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Or shaking the head from left to right. Just gently warming up the body here and letting it know it's going to be time to start moving soon. If you used props in any way, taking a moment here to set them off to the side. And if you're in any position other than your back, gently pressing up and then meeting on your back when you get a moment, when you're feeling ready. Taking your time, using your breath. And on the inhale, really reaching through the fingers and through the toes, sending the arms and the legs long, finding a full body stretch here, arching through the back. Maybe it lifts off the mat. And exhale, hands come back to the sides, bending through the knees, planting the feet, finding gentle windshield wipers here. Gently letting the legs fall side to side, just warming up the spine. Maybe go a little bit deeper with each pass. And on the inhale, finding stillness, grabbing onto our straps here and uncurling them. Placing the strap on the ball of the feet and sending the feet to the sky. Taking a few moments here to find some space here. Maybe you bend through one knee and then the other. Maybe you take the legs wide in a wider stance and rock back and forth and see how that feels. Maybe you point and flex through the toes, finding a little bit of space in the ankles. Maybe you bring the knees a little bit closer to the nose. One more round of breath here. And on the exhale, the left leg plants, the right leg stays lifted. Pulling the knee a little bit closer to your nose here, finding a little bit more space than when both legs were lifted. And on the exhale, bend through the knee, almost finding a happy baby shape, but just half on one side. And inhale, pressing through the heel, the foot reaches to the sky. And exhale, bend through the knee here, finding that half happy baby. Inhale, reach to the sky. And exhale, finding one more here, maybe a little bit deeper this time, if that feels okay. And inhale, lifting back to the sky. Exhale, switching the strap to the left hand, gently pulling it over the midline of the body here. Just a few inches or maybe a foot or so, keeping both hip points on the mat. Finding that nice juicy IT band stretch here. One more round of breath. Inhale, bringing the foot back through center, switching the strap to the right this time, gently lowering it off to the side, and then pointing it down, almost finding like a D shape here, a little bit of movement, holding on to the strap. Switching directions now. Finding that movement, getting a little bit of fluidity in the hip point here. And inhale, bringing the leg back through center, sending the left leg up to meet the right. The left leg or the right leg plants, the left stays lifted. Finding those gentle rocks back and forth, bringing the knee a little bit closer to the nose. Just finding a little space here. Inhale, finding stillness. And on the exhale, bend through the knee, finding that half happy baby here on the left side. Inhale, heel lifts to the sky. And exhale, bend. Inhale, lift. And exhale, bend here. Finding a little bit of a deeper space. Inhale, lifting to the sky. And on the exhale, switching the strap to the right hand and gently pulling it over to the leg over to the right side of the body. Finding that nice juicy IT band stretch here. One more round of breath. Inhale, bringing the foot back through center, switching the strap to the left hand this time, and gently lowering the leg off to the left side and swooping it down towards the bottom of the mat and then back up to the sky. Finding that D shape here would be a backwards D, but close enough. Just finding a little bit of space here in the hip point. And switching directions now. Keeping that strap in the left hand. One more round of breath. And inhale, finding stillness, removing the strap, placing it off to the side. And on the inhale, bringing the knees into your chest. Give yourself a little hug, a little squeeze. Maybe you rock side to side, massaging out that lower spine. And exhale, finding stillness here, finding some gentle hip circles. Maybe you go in one direction or the other. It's whatever might feel good here. And when you're feeling ready, rocking and rolling along the length of the spine, meeting at the top of the mat in a comfortable seat. Hands can find the knees, legs can be crossed. Inhale, roll the shoulders up towards the ears and roll down the back, really shining the heart here. Inhale, arms reach overhead. Exhale, cactus the arms, shine the heart. Inhale, reach. And exhale, hands find the knees, closing down the eyes, finding some gentle Sukhasana circles here. Inviting in any movements that might feel good. Maybe shoulders and neck rolls. Just finding a little bit of space. Switching directions if you haven't already. Going the opposite way. Maybe you invite in those shoulder and neck rolls if you did on the opposite side. One more round of breath here. And inhale, finding stillness here. Crown of the head lifts to the sky. And on the exhale, sending the right leg off to a 90-degree angle. And the left shin is parallel with the front of the mat. Finding a deer pose here. Really reaching the crown of the head to the sky. And on the exhale, walking the hands out in front of you, if that feels okay. And then rolling over that front leg. If that's not feeling so great today, always an option to walk off to the side. That might be a little bit more accessible or feel just a little different. And hanging out here for a moment, settling into the space. Inhale, walking the hands back through center and switching legs this time. So the right leg is out in front and the left is off to the side. The right leg is parallel with the front of the mat, lifting the crown of the head to the sky, and then gently walking forward and folding forward over that front leg in deer pose here. Again, if that's not feeling so hot today, always an option to walk off to the right. And hanging out here for a moment. Inhale, walking the hands back through center and coming to a butterfly shape here. Soles of the feet come to touch. Invitation to bring a block in here just to elevate the feet a little bit. Otherwise, just a regular butterfly is a-okay too. Always an option to stay exactly where you are here. Otherwise, if a little bit more is calling to you, folding forward and walking the hands a little bit forward. Gently folding over the front feet. And just hanging out here for a moment. Exhale, walking the hands back through center, removing the block, keeping the left leg tucked in, the right leg goes long. The right fingertips reach to the inside of the foot, and the left hand reaches up and over. Just feeling that space in the leg here. Just hanging out here for a breath. Inhale, lifting back up through center, grabbing onto your strap, sending the left leg long, placing the strap on the ball of the left foot, keeping the crown of the head lifted to the sky and the spine neutral, and then just gently on the inhale, lifting the left leg up a few inches or so off the mat. Just seeing how that feels. And on the exhale, lower down, removing the strap, placing it over on the right foot this time, keeping the spine neutral, and then gently lifting through the right leg. Just seeing how that feels. Maybe it's a couple inches or maybe it's a foot or so off the mat. Whatever feels good today. And exhale, lower down, removing the strap, placing it off to the side. The right leg tucks in. The left toes reaching to the sky, reaching the left hand towards the inside of the foot. The right arm reaches up and over. Feeling that nice stretch here. One more round of breath here. And inhale, coming back through center, sending both legs wide in a seated wide-legged forward fold here. And on the exhale, walking the hands a little bit out or farther in front of you. Maybe you come down to the forearms. So whatever feels good today. One more round of breath. And exhale, walking the hands over to the right toes, reaching towards the toes. Feeling that opening on the inside and the outs and the back of the leg. And exhale, walking the hands through center and over to the left side this time. Remembering to breathe here. And inhale, walking the hands back through center and sitting up, gently helping the legs in and rolling forward into a tabletop position, however you decide to get there today. Wrists stacked below the shoulders, knees below the hips, spine is neutral. And on the inhale, dropping the belly, the gaze goes up for cow. And exhale, rounding through the back, pressing through the palms for cat. Inhale, dropping the belly for cow. And exhale, rounding through the back for cat. Using your breath, move through these two movements, inviting in anything that might feel good, maybe wags of the hips from side to side, maybe sinking back on the heels. Maybe you flip the wrists and show them a little love. Just taking a few moments here to find some space. One more round of breath here. And inhale, finding that neutral tabletop here. Inhale, lifting through the right leg. The toes plant on the mat, sinking back on the heel, finding a calf stretch here. Maybe you rock back and forth on the toes, or maybe you stay in one spot. Maybe you found one of those little sticky spots we talked about at the beginning of class. One more round of breath here. Inhale, pressing up off the heel, lifting through the right leg, and then planting the toes on the outside of the left toes. Gaze goes over the left shoulder. Feeling that opening here on the right side body. Really breathing into the pose here. Really filling up the belly with air. And releasing as the exhale. And inhale, lifting through the right leg and planting it on the outside of the right side of the mat. And taking a moment here and just sinking back on the heel just a little bit, just far enough to feel that opening in the leg. Just going to hang out here for a moment. And inhale, pressing up onto the palms. Arms come to a T, finding gate pose here. And on the exhale, the right fingertips track down the right leg. Left arm reaches up and over for a side body stretch. Inhale, arms come back to a T. And exhale, the hands plant on the mat. Leg comes back underneath you. Find a round or two of cat-cow here. Just to reset the spine a little bit. Finding that neutral tabletop. Inhale, lifting through the left leg. And on the exhale, the toes plant on the mat and sink back in the heel. Finding that calf stretch here. Maybe you rock back and forth, or maybe you say stay still. One more round of breath here. Inhale, lifting up off the heel, lifting through the left leg, planting it on the outside of the right side of the foot. Gaze goes over the right shoulder. Feeling that opening in the left side body here. Really breathing into the shape. Filling up the belly here on the inhale. And the release as you exhale. Inhale, lifting through the left leg, planting it on the outside of the left side of the mat. Blade of the foot is in contact with the earth. And then the exhale, sinking the hips back just for a moment or two onto the heel. And inhale, lifting back up, pressing through the palms, arms come to a T, finding gate pose here. And exhale, left fingertips track down the left leg, right arm reaches up and over for a side body stretch. Inhale, arms come back to a T. And exhale, the hands plant. The left leg comes underneath your body, finding a round or two of cat-cows. And when you're feeling ready, walking the hand, one handprint forward, tucking the toes and lifting the hips, and shift back into your downward facing dog. It's maybe your first down dog of the day or your 27th. Just give yourself a little time and space here to walk out your dog. Maybe you bend deeply through both knees and then one knee and then the other. Maybe you really press through the palms or invite the blocks in under the hands. Let's relieve some of that tension off the wrists. Maybe you rise up high on the toes and then lower the heels down. One more round of breath here. Inhale, finding stillness in your down dog here, lifting through the right leg. And on the exhale, bend the knee, stack the hips. Invitation to find some ankle rolls or hip circles here if that feels okay. Just for a breath. And on the inhale, straightening through the right leg. And exhale, bend the knee, plant the foot in between the hands. Runner's lunge. Exhale, planting through the left hand, the right arm reaches to the sky, finding a twist. And exhale, hand comes back down to frame the front foot. Lowering down the back knee. And inhale, rising all the way up to low lunge. Exhale, cactus the arms, shine the heart. Inhale, arms reach. Option here to grab onto your strap. If you want to find a quad stretch here, or you can also reach back and grab onto the toes. Sometimes the strap just makes it a little more accessible if we got some tight legs. And loop, whoop. Find your balance here. Loop the strap over the foot and find a quad stretch here. However that looks in your body. And exhale, lower down here. Remove the strap if you used it. And on the exhale, shift the hips back, straighten through the front leg, finding half splits. Maybe your hands find the mat, maybe they find blocks. Keeping a micro bend in the front knee. Toes are lifted to the sky. And on the exhale, point through the toes. Inhale, flex. Exhale, point. Inhale, flex. And one more time. Exhale, point the toes. Inhale, flex. One more round of breath here. And inhale, bending through the front leg, front knee. Hands come to frame the foot. Powering up through the back leg, runner's lunge. And inhale, rising all the way up to crescent lunge. Exhale, airplane the arms. Power lunge. Inhale, reach. And exhale, the left foot comes up to meet the right and sink the hips down, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold here. Finding a supported warrior 3 here, grounding down through the right leg, the left leg lifts. Hands can be at the blocks, or maybe they're on the mat. It's one round of breath here, engaging that glute. And on the exhale, reaching through the the right arm, excuse me. And on the exhale, rounding through the back, elbow and the knee come to touch for a standing bird dog crunch. Inhale, lift, reach. Exhale, crunch here. Inhale, reach. And exhale, finding one more crunch here. Inhale, lift and reach. Inhale, rising all the way up to high march. Grounding down through that right foot. And on the exhale, the left foot crosses in front of the right foot. And then swan dive forward into a forward fold. Maybe your hands find the blocks or the mat. Finding that nice IT band stretch here. Just one more round of breath. Grounding down through both feet. Finding your balance here, rising all the way up to upward salute with those crossed legs. And exhale, airplane the arms, shine the heart. Inhale, lift. And exhale, uncurl the legs. Maybe finding just a little wiggle here and there. And exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step or hop back to plank. Exhale, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, press up to up dog or cobra. And exhale, shift the hips back to downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting through the left leg. And on the exhale, bend the knees, stack the hips. Invitation to find those ankle circles or those hip circles here for a round of breath. Inhale, straighten through the left leg. And on the exhale, bend the knee and plant the foot in between the hands. Runner's lunge. Keeping the right hand planted, the left fingertips reach to the sky, finding that twist. Exhale, lower back down. And lowering down the back knee. Inhale, rising all the way up to low lunge. Exhale, the right hand finds the left wrist, gently pulling it over the midline of the body. Inhale, back through center. And exhale, the left hand finds the right wrist, gently pulling it over the midline. Inhale, back through center. Option to find that quad stretch here. If you did on the opposite side, reaching back for the toes. Maybe you invite the strap in for a little bit of a deeper stretch. Maybe not, maybe you stay in a low lunge, whatever is feeling good today. One more round of breath here. And exhale, lower down, release. Shifting the hips back, straighten through the front leg for half splits here. Keeping a micro bend in the front knee. Toes are lifted to the sky. And exhale, point through the toes. Inhale, flex. Exhale, point. Inhale, flex. One more here, exhale, point. Inhale, flex. Taking one more round of breath here. And on the inhale, bending through the front knee, hands come to frame the front foot, powering up through the back leg, runner's lunge. Inhale, rising all the way up to crescent lunge. Exhale, airplane the arms, power lunge. Inhale, reach. And exhale, the right foot comes up to meet the left. Sink the hips down, chair pose. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Finding a twist here, the left elbow crosses over the right knee. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, the right finds a twist on the left side. Inhale, back through center. And exhale, forward fold. Finding that supported warrior here. Grounding down through the left leg, lifting through the right. Hips are square with the mat. Really grounding down through all four corners of that front foot. One more round of breath. Glute is engaged. And on the inhale, rising all the way up to your high march. And on the exhale, crossing that right foot over the left. And then swan diving forward. Finding that IT band stretch here. Maybe your hands find blocks or the mat. Just feeling that opening. One more round of breath. And inhale, rising all the way up, finding that balance. And exhale, cactus the arms, shine the heart. Inhale, lift. And exhale, uncurling the legs. Maybe finding a little wiggle or two. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Close down the eyes here. Just for a breath. just to connect to the earth, feeling it supports you underneath your feet, feeling the heat on your face. And inhale, arms reach overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step or hop back to plank. Move through your flow or meet me in a downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting through the right leg. And exhale, bend the knee and plant the foot on the outside of the right hand. Finding an active lizard here. Just for a moment, inhale, straightening through the front leg. And exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, bend. Finding that one more time. Inhale, straighten through the right leg. And exhale, straighten, lowering down that back knee. Settling in here for just a moment or two into your lizard shape. Feeling that opening in the hips. Invitation to stay here a little longer, otherwise walking the toes over to the left side and setting yourself up for a pigeon here. Starting high on the palms and then gently folding over that front leg and settling in for a breath or two. Maybe releasing just a little bit more with each exhale. And if pigeon's just not jamming with you today, always an option to find that figure 4 on your back. One more round of breath here. And when you're feeling ready, pressing up through the palms, uncurling the leg, and finding any counter stretches that might feel good here, maybe a calf stretch. And then shifting back into a downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting through the left leg. And exhale, bend the knee, plant the foot on the outside of the left hand. An active lizard. Inhale, straightening through the front leg. And exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, bend. Finding that one more time. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, lower down. Option to stay in the active lizard, otherwise lowering down that back knee and settling in for a few breaths. One more round of breath here. Option to stay here for a little longer, otherwise making your way to that pigeon shape. When you're feeling ready, walking the toes over to the right side, starting high and then gently folding over that front leg. Maybe you invite in blocks, maybe you don't. Whatever feels good today. 2 more full rounds of breath here in this pigeon shape or whatever shape you're in. And when you're feeling ready, on the inhale, pressing up through the palms, uncurling your leg, finding a counter stretch that might feel good. And then coming into a tabletop and gently lowering down onto your belly. Stacking the hands on top of each other, bending through the knees, finding gentle windshield wipers. Maybe your chin finds your hands or your forehead. It's for a round of breath. And exhale, sending the legs long, placing the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, finding a Sphinx pose here, really shining the heart. And on the inhale, bending through the right leg, finding a frog shape here with a Sphinx upper body. If that's not feeling too great today, always an option to lower down onto those stacked hands. This just brings up a little bit more up off the chest. Flexing through those feet, pointing through the left toes. One more round of breath here. And exhale, the right leg goes long, the left leg tucks up for frog on the opposite side. The 90-degree angle, flexing through the left foot, the right toes point. Keeping that Sphinx pose if it's feeling okay. One more round of breath. And exhale, sending the legs long, stacking the hands, finding one more round or two of windshield wipers, bending through the knees. And then flipping onto your back, however you decide to get there. And finding any final movements today that might help you complete your practice. Maybe that's a happy baby or a twist. Maybe it's something more active like a shoulder stand. Or maybe it's something much more restorative like an early Shavasana. Whatever your body's calling for these last few moments of class. Taking the next couple of rounds of breath to move through those final movements before making your way to the final resting pose of Shavasana. Before sending the arms and the legs long on the mat. Releasing the tongue from the roof of the mouth. And unfurrowing the brows. Giving yourself time and space to soak up all that beautiful energy you created during class today. Be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, and it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, and it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. On the next inhale, gently bringing some awareness back into the body. That may start with just a few deep breaths. Maybe you find gentle wiggles of the fingers and the toes, or roll out the wrists and the ankles, or shaking the head from left to right. Always an option to stay exactly where you are. Otherwise, if you invite a little more movement in today, invitation to roll off onto either side in a fetal position, using your bicep as a pillow. And when you're feeling ready, making your way to a comfortable seat facing the front of the room at the top of the mat. Legs can be crossed, eyes can remain closed, or a slight gaze over the nose. Inhale, arms reach overhead. Then exhale, hands come to heart center. The light within me honors the light within each and every one of you. Thank you for practicing with me today, yogis. Namaste.